Welcome back. Now that we've completed how to multiply and divide rational expressions, fractions, now we have to go to the more difficult operations, which are addition and subtraction. And that's what Module 11 is going to focus on. So the first thing we want to go back is to arithmetic and go back to basics. How do we add fractions that have like denominators? Okay, the rule is simple, and I have it written as a song. Adding fractions easy as can be. All you need is an LCD. Write the bottom, collect the top, reduce the fraction, then you stop. So if we take apart that song, it's saying to add fractions, the first thing you need to make sure of is you have a least common denominator, and that's the abbreviation LCD. The denominators of the fraction have to be common. They have to be the same, and you want them to be the least amount the same so you don't have so much reducing to do at the end. If your fractions do not have like denominators, then that's a whole different ball game we'll talk about later on. So the most important thing is when you see two fractions and you see the addition symbol, the first thing to check is to make sure they have the same common denominator. Why is that important? Well, that denominator tells you how many parts you broke the whole in. And we've been talking about since the beginning of this whole course, you can only add things that are alike. You can add a positive to a positive. You can add a negative to a negative. You can add an x to an x. You can add a y to a y. So in our world, you can only add when terms are alike. Well, in fraction world, the part of the fraction that makes the terms alike are the denominators. Now, once the denominators are alike, the rule says write the bottom. You don't add the denominators, you just write it. And we'll explain why in a minute. You collect the top. You take your numerators and bring them together by addition. And then once you got your new numerator with your denominator and you have one fraction, then you have to make sure whether or not it can be reduced. So a little song, adding fractions, easy as can be. All you need is an LCD. Write the bottom, collect the top, reduce the fraction, then you stop. That's your procedure. Now let's look at an example. So suppose back in elementary school, you wanted to add 1/4 plus 3/4. Now I have the visuals there to show you. 1/4 means you take a whole object, whether it be a circle or a rectangle or square, and you cut that object into 4 equal parts. That's what the divide by 4 means. So that's what I did. I cut my circle in 4 equal parts. The numerator 1 means I have one part of that. So that's why it's shaded in. I want to add 1/4 to 3/4. So again, if you understand fractions, 3/4 means I have a whole object and I'm cutting it again in 4 equal parts. That's what the divide by 4 means. So I cut again a circle in 4 equal parts. The numerator 3 means I have 3 of those parts. So now I have shaded in 3 parts. So my job is to physically add 1/4 plus 3/4. I can do that because if you look at my shaded parts, they're exactly the same size. That's why you have to have an LCD, a least common denominator. That is telling you the fractions are cut apart in the same size. So as long as your denominator is the same, you're going to push your pieces together. So if you take that one pink shaded region and you take those other 3 pink shaded regions and you put them together, now you have 4 shaded regions. You have 4 pieces now out of 4, not out of 8. You don't add the denominators because the size of the piece of the fraction is not changing. If you look, it's still that section of the circle. So that's why 1/4 plus 3/4 is 4/4. So the song makes sense. Adding fractions easy as can be. All you need is an LCD. That tells you check. Make sure your denominators are the same. Okay, they both have 4s. I'm the same. So I can proceed. Write the bottom. The bottom is a 4. I write it. Collect the top. Collect means to bring together the numerator. In the numerator, 1 plus 3 is 4. Now that I have it as one fraction, 4/4, I have to see if I can reduce that. And 4 of 4 is divisible. It will divide and make 1. If you had 4/4 of those pieces, you would have one whole circle. So it's very important you understand why with adding and subtracting, your denominator has to be the same because it follows through everything we've talked about in this course. To add and subtract, you need like terms. The part of the fraction that tells you they're alike is the denominator. Okay, let's go to the whiteboard and try another one.